One. We are live. Yeah. So have you had good weather this whole trip?
No. There has been some of the drive we had some serious rain. So some of the legs we flew and some of them we drove. Mostly one-way car rentals and one-way flights, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few areas where we had some pretty heavy-duty rain, but hey, we're in Chilliwack, so
yeah,
we barely notice it.
That's it. So you're traveling with Kyle? Is that just
yes,
you guys?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. It's an adventure. Hope you get to enjoy that. One of the rare treats I get is I get to drive out west every summer. So it's a beautiful. Yeah, you're in a nice part of the country now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you stop by, and I think I usually miss you for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'm able to connect every. I think once I was able to connect.
This time, the likelihood of me being there is much higher because before COVID, I would travel at least once a month, and this has been my first trip since last year January.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Not a lot of people are flying or traveling right now, so. Yeah. Hopefully things settle down and we're able to get back to business, to our regularly scheduled lives.
Yes, absolutely.
Your production's been able to keep up? You haven't had any major...
I don't know if it's just me, but I can barely hear you there.
Oh, can you guys hear me all right? Nope. Hang on one sec. Yep. Yeah, can you hear me now, Maarten?
I can hear you, Rick.
Yeah, so maybe it's on your end, Maarten. Can you hear us? Someone else talk.
I can hear you. Yeah, it just sounds very strange.
Sounds muffled. Okay,
it'll go away again soon.
All right. Yeah. Doug Rudenberg. Yeah, Doug Rudenberg. Yeah, thanks, Doug. I love seeing you every year. Doug's been greeting me. I'm just reading the comments on the chat here. I see. I think Doug was one of the first guys I saw when I traveled out west. We were doing Project Maple Seeds way back then, and he came out to our event in Regina. Is that Regina? Where was that, Doug? I think it was. I want to say Regina, but yeah, he came in from Calgary to do that. So, yeah, you guys haven't had any matches or been able to run matches out there yet, this summer, so far?
On the West Coast here?
Yeah.
No matches, but MDT has a employee match once a month.
Nice.
So at least we've been able to shoot those.
Maarten, you're making me want to move to Chilliwack and sweep your floors. I'll do that. It's like I'll start at the very bottom, man. I'll do the mail room or whatever. It sounds like the perfect place to work. Monthly matches. I'd love an annual match. That's awesome.
Yeah. And on top of that, just to make it sound a little bit more attractive, all employees get a monthly ammo allowance.
Oh, no way. That's terrible. Oh, jeez.
Oh, talk about benefits. Whew.
Yeah. I got to talk to my wife. We're making some changes soon, Maarten.
Well, we say, we tell people, we know what we're doing. We're shooters. And if we say we're shooters, we got to support our people going out shooting, right?
Nice.
That's what we do.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. That's terrific. That's good to hear.
All right. We're 30 seconds out.
30 seconds out. Yeah. Stand by. Yeah. I think, I don't know if John was going to make it or Kevin, but I know John was working till 9, so he might be, I don't know if he's going to jump on.
John just messaged us on the group chat. He said he's not making it.
Okay, that's too bad.
I spoke to Kevin today. He said he was going to try and come on, though. So
okay. Cool. Perfect. All right, so when we're going live, so we're going to go live now, live. And I'm just going to run the intro video, then we'll get started. Hang on, 15 seconds. Hey, shooters. Welcome to episode 13. This week, we sit down with Modular Driven Technology CEO Maarten Van Ruitenburg to talk gear and all things MDT. As always, I'm joined by my fellow nutcases on the Rimfire Nation podcast staff, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Maarten has taken time out of his busy cross-continent trip. I think you've been bouncing around from east to west, right, Maarten?
Correct. Yeah.
And you're almost home, so thank you very much. I know you interrupted your dinner to pop out to the parking lot to join us. I know you got to say goodbye to some of the folks maybe later on. So if Maarten's got to step out, we'll fill in for a few seconds while he says goodbye to his guests. So thank you, Maarten, for joining us this evening. I think it's
Thanks
great
for
to
having
finally connect with you guys. First, we want to thank you for being a huge sponsor of the CRPS and all Rimfire events around the world. I think that's huge to finally connect and say that to you guys personally. It's greatly appreciated by shooters coast to coast in Canada and certainly worldwide. We actually, one of my most favorite YouTubers is from South Africa. The impact shooting, I think.
Peter Milan.
Peter Milan.
Yeah. He does a great job. Great ambassador. So great choice. So thanks for joining us. As always, the Rimfire Nation podcast is proudly brought to you by Tesro.ca. Past episodes of the Rimfire Nation podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and on the Canadian Rimfire Precision Series YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help get the word out. And a new product announcement from Tesro. This week, he has got the Riton X3 3 MOA micro red dot on sale. I think he's got $60 off. It's a 3 MOA micro red dot, perfect for the X22 challenge. Looking forward to buying one of those and trying those out. And I'm going to put that on the MDT rings that we received this week with a 45-degree mount. So thanks for all your constant development, Maarten and MDT, for letting us do that. Asmir has also told me that CRKT knives are coming to Tesro. They're my favorite budget-friendly knives. So you can take the budget of a $200 knife and spread it around 4 knives, which is awesome. So I'm kind of a knife guy as well. So without any further ado, welcome, Maarten. So as I said, you guys are probably the most commonly seen chassis on the series. There are ACCs everywhere, and people are. So this year, what we're seeing, Maarten, is people are now finally dressing up all of their ACCs to make it their own color. So you can see Matthew's up top. He's got his custom Cerakoted. I'm getting mine sent out Cerakoted this week in a combination of distressed battle worn and an Oryx chassis. He's going to get a winter multicam outfit. So that's going to be dressed up. And when the Deuce action comes in, it'll go into a distressed Canadian flag ACC. So we're going to be flying the flag for MDT. So welcome. So why don't you tell the audience kind of a little bit about your background and how you got involved in MDT and kind of what they should know about the company.
For sure. So MDT was started in 2009. Was started by Laszlo Clementis. And I didn't get involved until about 2012. Okay. So we were actually connected by somebody else and said, you should check out what he's doing there. I got involved with Laszlo. It was actually SHOT Show 2013 that I got involved. I went to SHOT Show with him, and we were a very small company back then. It was so small that our price list, I had to increase the font size to make sure that it would fill one page, whereas now we're having a hard time keeping it down to 27 pages or something like that with small letters. But it was a lot of interest at SHOT Show that year. I think we walked away with something like 750 business cards of people that were interested. You get the phone.
Nice.
Pushed hard on growing the company, pushed hard on new product development. So back then, that's when we started selling to Remington Arms. Right. The year after, we came out with a smaller chassis, our LSS chassis, and that was adopted by Mossberg. And, since then, we've just constantly pushed on making a very high quality product. make sure that we're always on the forefront of what our customers want, and actually try to think ahead a little bit. And that brought us to today, where we have an engineering department of, I believe it's 7 or 8 now, of full-time designers and engineers that are whose full-time job it is to create new products. And 3D printers are running nonstop to prototype parts. Where we have a trap set up in the building, so we're constantly shooting in there as well. We go out to the range, we go out in the middle of nowhere, and it's obviously a very fun thing to constantly try new things and make new products. So we really love what we do. And
you said you put out like at least 2 products a month sometimes, right?
Yeah, our goal is 4. I think that we're hitting about 3. Now, when I say that, we do classify them into different types of releases. We call them A, B, and C. So an A release would be only twice a year. That is a major brand new chassis. Like, for example, we recently released our hunting chassis, HNT26. It's a 26-ounce carbon fiber and magnesium chassis. That would, we call it an A. A B is a new product, but maybe not as significant. And C will just be a variation of an existing product.
Right, like the new Tika T1X in the XRS that was announced today. Yeah, that's gonna do well. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be running an XRS this year, so moving from an ACC to an XRS just to see what it's like.
Oh yeah,
we're seeing a lot more people shift to that, and it'd be fun to try something different. So I've been running the ACC
that'll be cool.
2 years now.
Yeah, and we also recently developed a weight kit for the XRS, so you'll be able to do a little bit of balancing with that as well.
Right, and you have that full Arca Rail fore end as well that just came out.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people know, but it's not just chassis. You have magazines, buttstocks. You got the Skypod, bipod, mounts, rings, bases, grips, and more. Right. So you really cover the full range for everything below the optic, essentially, right? You provide everything.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Basically, anything that attaches to the rifle that's not the optic, or the trigger, or the barrel, or the action. Basically, everything else is something that will be that we touch, that we do something with. There's lots more opportunity in that space. Lots more opportunity for new products as well. We currently have. Last time I looked, this is a couple of weeks ago already, but we had 64 open projects of new products that are in development. Some of those will release 2 years from now, some of it a year from now, but it takes a long time to get stuff in development. But there's still a lot of things in the works of stuff that you can attach to your rifle that you may not even know you need yet.
Yeah, and that's the nice part. People have, I think you hit every budget level there is, and what's nice is that there's no compromise. It's really just from starting with the Oryx, which is basically a monolithic chassis from front to back, which I like, all the way up to the very fine tunable ACC. Now, the ACC came out when? 2 years ago? Was that released 2 years? 2 or 3?
Yeah, it might have been 3 already.
Goes quickly, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, too quick.
Yeah, and now you've got the new grip for the new grip that you guys added, the fatter, thicker grip that's available now, which is awesome. I think that's gonna do well as well for those guys who are looking for that more solid, more filling grip.
Yeah, that is a nice grip. That is something that really we wanted to do right from the beginning, but it's more complicated, of course, because it's also overmolded. So now you need 2 molds instead of 1 mold to do the production of it. Another thing that we really wanted, because we didn't realize how many people were asking for AR compatibility, and that grip actually has an AR compatible version of it. I'm personally, I'm not much of an AR. Well, we're in Canada, enough said there, but plenty of people have been asking for it.
Yeah.
And we'll see if people would actually run a vertical grip on an AR. I haven't really seen it yet, but sounds interesting.
Yeah, I've never tried one either. I'd be curious to try it out. I mean, there are AR-like platforms available now. Hang on, I'm just going to add Kevin.
All right. Hey, sorry for being late.
That's all right.
Fashionably
this is perfect. While we're here, why don't we get the panel to quickly introduce themselves? We'll start with Matt, then Thomas, then Kevin. We didn't do that earlier.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Matt. I'm really happy to have Maarten on today because I was a fairly early adopter of the ACC when it came out in the 457 inlet anyway. So I think I was like one of the first guys to run an ACC for the 457, and I've absolutely loved it ever since. I never even shot it with the original stock. When I bought the 457, I also placed an order for the ACC at the same time, and it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's a great chassis. So I'm really happy to hear what Maarten says today.
All right, I'm Thomas, the ORPS director match director at Stittsville, and generally I try to be involved as much as I can in this community. Maarten, thank you for being on. Unfortunately, I do not own a MDT ACC chassis.
Not yet.
But yeah, exactly. I'm usually slow at adopting, changes like that. I do like my the stock on the CZ that I have at the moment, but it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, well, you were a production shooter last year, right? So this is your first year in open. Yeah. So you have an excuse.
Baby steps.
For baby steps, that's right. And Kevin's displaying his
build the biceps to lift that thing,
Yeah, just the way you start tuning it, like if you look at Kevin's, I think he's got all the available weights bolted onto that.
No, not quite. I still have another 2 more to go, maybe 3.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm Kevin. I'm late. Sorry for that. And essentially, my role in the CRPS game here is to prepare the demo rifles, make sure that the dope is gathered for them and everything. And then, seeing as how we're talking about MDT, I just recently picked this chassis up and gave it a little paint job. And that's about 2-3 months now. And I got to say, it was a very quick transition, and I definitely don't regret it. So,
perfect. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us,
here.
Kevin. Yeah. So Maarten, were you shooting a 455? Is that how the first ACC in the CZ inlet came about?
That is actually true. I'd forgotten about that. I didn't have a 450. What was that?
I didn't, because I was excited when I saw you had one. I said, "Oh, it's going to be on the market soon."
Yeah, that was a prototype, and I think it was a blue one, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was blue.
Yeah, and I quite liked it, and I had a lot of interest because back then we were still shooting a bunch of Rimfire matches.
Yeah.
In Mission, BC. But then the 457, then I got my hands on the 457, and I decided for a personal rifle I wanted to go to a 457. I think that the 455 I was shooting was we would call it a shop rifle, and but I have to say that I've got quite a few rifles in the safe personally. The 457, I think it's my favorite rifle.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing price performance value, second only to the Savage Mark II. if you can afford a CZ 457, that's where I point people to. You can't go wrong. It's just butter smooth. It just works. Like I've never had a problem with it.
It's the only action. 457 MTR.
Yeah, that's why John's not here. That's it. Oh, there's a question from Chris W. Any reason why chassis for 1022 was released under Oryx, not MDT? Nothing.
Well, there is. It's a great question, and it's a complicated answer. So I'll try to think through it. First of all, we've always had a lot of interest in making a chassis for a 1022. And the first chassis we ever did for it was actually our LSS chassis.
Yeah.
When we released it, we messed up on investigation of how many different sizes of 1022 actions are out there. Yeah. And how to make sure that we were able to accommodate all of those. So we ran into some issues and we discontinued that specific LSS chassis pretty much right away, because it's always very important for us, of course, that when we have something out in the marketplace that it performs very well. Then we ended up going to the Oryx, because the Oryx is basically our budget brand, our entry level brand, and it was easier for somebody to spend $400 or $500 on a chassis for a 1022 than spending the same amount and still having to add a buttstock and a grip. And so really it has to do with kind of matching the level of what it is. Now, I understand that there is a lot of 1022 clones, and we do get requests even for the ACC to do 1022, which I think is a great idea, and will probably or possibly happen someday. I off the top of my head, I don't know if it's on our development list at the moment. There's too many to remember all in detail, but I would say it's likely.
Yeah, well, we have a dedicated 1022 series launched this year, so a lot of guys are looking for that extra bit, or even having the full range supported, starting from the Oryx to the XRS to the ACC. I think there's something for everyone there. So, I mean, I love the Oryx, and we're actually going to shoot it. We actually have a REM 700 pattern rifle going into an Oryx this year as part of our loaner fleet. We'll be putting what are we putting into it? I think we're going to be putting a deuce action into one of those Oryx in the multicam Arctic multicam pattern. It's going to stand out.
It'll be a cool setup.
It'll be nice. Yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. So, we got a quote from Greg. MDT dope card holder.
That is already just released in the last week or so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And if it didn't release in the last week or so, then my marketing department is going to kill me, and it will be released very, very soon.
All right. Yeah, I think your marketing department's going to kill you. Derek will have a message or an email to you.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So what you would say?
About it after.
It could be possible. It could be possible. That's awesome. So were you always in the firearms industry, or is it you just jumped into the industry as in your role at MDT?
Yeah, no, that was my introduction to the firearm industry when I started with MDT.
Nice.
And I've loved it since the very beginning, every second of it.
Well, you've done a great job shepherding it through the various iterations to become the dominant player, certainly in North America. And we see, every time we see one of the major manufacturers come out with a chassis, precision chassis, we kind of say, you know what, I think that's an MDT chassis. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it doesn't always say our name on it, but we do a fair amount, that's for sure. Perfect.
And we got another question on any plans on expanding the Oryx brand with new chassis systems?
All I'm going to say is yes.
Nice.
I got to be careful about talking too much about our future stuff, but sure. You can expect growth of products in the Oryx brand. But we are somewhat careful about what is being released in the future, and sure. But yeah, you can expect releases there.
Yeah, I think the opportunity here is just to hear what people out there are asking for. So it's our opportunity to directly connect you with the guys that are out there looking for stuff, and kind of you can take that input for what it's worth and see what
I have to step out for just
sure.
1 minute, maybe two. So I'll be right back.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Yeah. So as I said before, Maarten's taken time out of his dinner to chat with us. He's actually in Montana on business as part of his cross-continent tour from east to west, and he's just got to say goodbye to some of his dinner companions. So he skipped cheesecake for us tonight. So thank you, Maarten. Oh man. So Thomas, we got to get you set up with an MDT chassis, right?
Yeah, I committed, maybe that was a mistake, to shooting the CZLRP as is for a year. I like to do things in season. I do one big upgrade every season, but I'm a huge fan of the black ACC. I think it looks great. One of our buddies, Colin, essentially got ahead of me there and ordered the black ACC, and it's a really nice package. So.
Well, we'll talk offline. There might be an opportunity for us to work together on this.
There you go.
but you'll have
I'm
to.
always slow at
If
changing
I
things.
find out that Thomas gets a free ACC,
He's not getting a free ACC. He's not getting
you're
a
going to
free
hear
ACC.
from me, okay?
Yo, Kevin, nothing is free in life. There's
Yeah,
always a
that's true.
price. There's
Yeah.
always a price, right?
For sure.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, thanks, Martin. Yeah, so I mean, it's been amazing. I think, from I think the biggest thing to hit the Rimfire world is kind of the support that you guys are giving to it, so that we elevated from the stock Tupperware chassis. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but people now are treating the term Rimfire trainer is now got no life of its own. To actual, it's not a trainer anymore. It's actually their primary competition platform, especially given everything that's happened with COVID and the restrictions around center fire matches and also the cost of reloading. But we're actually finding people are spending the same, if not more, on the Rimfire platforms now, and it's pretty incredible to see all the now the Curtis Valor. We've got Zermatt with the Rimex. We've got Voodoo. We have Ultimatum Precision with their Deuce actions coming out, and I'm sure that's not the end of it. So
Yeah,
thank
never
you
mind
for
the $5,000 scopes on them.
that's right. That's I think everybody
say-
wants one.
In Ontario,
Okay.
we're definitely dominated by Rimfire because unlike BC and Alberta, we just don't have the distances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you to want to reach out beyond 600 yards, 600 meters, the only spots that are really available to you in a PRS setting are private land, which is never done in a match setting, or Meaford. Other than that, it doesn't exist. So it's kind of the only thing that we can really do to make it available to everyone. So
Yeah. So here probably
the
the
22 is very practical that way. It's easy.
Yeah. Attendance here has probably doubled. The wait list has just exploded. So now it's we can put a match every week basically, just like Lower Mainland when Mission they could have run a match at Mission every weekend and sell out. I think there's a place for the Rimfire world, and again your support of the platform with all of the available choices is amazing. So in terms of the last 6 months, I think the biggest announcement you had were the again you can jump in and fill me in. I think the SkyPod Gen 2 was the second generation of that.
Yeah, that was a good size release because we also stopped production for a while on the Gen 1 before that. And there was a long waiting list of people wanting to buy the SkyPod because, it's so incredibly versatile in different positions, a lot of vertical adjustment. And then the other major release would have been our hunting chassis.
The 26, the HN...
The HNT26, yeah. So that's 26. A magnesium chassis with a carbon fiber buttstock and forend and grip, and that's a 26-ounce chassis.
Is that shipping already, or almost?
It is not shipping already. It would have been shipping approximately next month, but just like everybody else doing business, supply chain issues are issues.
Yeah.
Even we're starting to see now that there is even just on composites there is a global shortage, and so
right?
Injection molding and carbon fiber and all these things, everything just takes longer to get the raw materials for.
Wow, that
sounds like it's almost as bad as lumber.
Yeah.
Carbon fiber is cheaper than wood now.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we're almost there. Yeah,
just about.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So from in terms of where you see products going, are you guys looking to branch out? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you're working on that you can share with us, but what's your development crystal ball look like over the next 6 months, 12 months, if you're able to share any with us? Are there any major directions you guys are looking to get into?
So there's a number of things that we have in the works. Well, as we have a lot of open projects, of course, of product development. So on the Oryx side, as mentioned earlier, we are working on expanding that brand into more products. And we're pretty excited about what we have in the works there right now.
Okay.
Then on the MDT side, we are always pushing. Our list of SKUs is pretty large now, when we're just always pushing on coming out with more new products that help somebody in shooting, help them shoot better, more comfortable. In the last couple of years, you would have seen that our LSS chassis and even our TAC-21 as well went from a Gen 1 to a Gen 2. I think that we're constantly going to be reviewing our chassis, making sure that we're collecting data on what shooters want, what we believe needs to happen, and maybe something that isn't already a Gen 2 will become a Gen 2. Maybe something that's a Gen 2 will become a Gen 3. We'll be looking at those kinds of things.
Right.
And another thing is that we're, of course, working hard on as well. It's not, of course, and maybe people have forgotten about it a little bit already, but about 2 years ago, we purchased the J. Allen brand.
Yes.
The brand, the patents, and all the tooling, the design, everything for it. We've been working very hard on retooling for that chassis. We're hoping to release it later this year. We worked very hard on keeping all the existing characteristics of that chassis, making sure that what people bought in the past is still what it is. But we had to come up with ways to make it more manufacturable in larger volumes and keeping the quality that it is. There's a few minor changes that we made to modernize it just a little bit. But that is also something that we're pretty excited about releasing soon. Another thing, so that is 3 different brands right there. So we have the MDT brand, with premium shooting components, parts, accessories. We have the Oryx brand, more entry level. The J. Allen brand or JAE brand, it's definitely premium. It won't become a cheap chassis all of a sudden. That chassis was selling for $1,700 US, and I am not sure how much lower we can go than that, because there is a lot of parts to it, and we didn't want to sacrifice quality in retooling for that. So that's a third brand. Another brand that we have semi-launched is called Mamba Mag, and all that really is are 10-round direct fit magazines for hunting rifles. So a Remington, a Savage, a Tikka, it's a 10-round magazine. It just pops right in. And that is something that actually we started with in Australia, because it was a very popular product there. It was a company that was manufacturing them over there and stopped. And so we have taken that over, that side of the market. So you can find a little bit more details on mambamag.com, even though that website hasn't quite launched. I don't know that will be a brand that will have a lot of additional products necessarily. But we're always working. Magazines is one of those things that we're going to continue working on, because new calibers keep coming out. People keep, and we want to make sure that people have something that they can feed their rifle very smoothly and without any issues whatsoever. So I could probably talk about these things forever, but I also can't give too much away at the same time to make sure that our marketing team stays.
They don't assassinate you when you come back to the office after giving away all the in-house secrets.
Don't ever go on podcasts again. That kind of stuff.
Not a good idea. I mean, certainly from our side, on the Rimfire side, like all of our magazines are 10 rounders, right? So we know the value, and all the match directors are now pushing 12 round stages, 15 round stages, 18 round stages, and certainly an extension base plate to add 2 or 3 rounds is huge for us. We know the value of that. We've seen that in the center fire. Hopefully, at some point it trickles down and for this crew right now, CZ mags extension would go well. Yeah, I think it's just gonna make it fit the ACC mag well without. I know Kevin's already done the R&D work on his 3D printed extensions, so maybe
that doesn't surprise me.
He could sell you the rights to that, and he can retire.
yeah, maybe. I
so
have
guys, you guys have
a job, so.
You guys have any questions for Martin while we?
I mean, just quickly, are you consolidating and bringing all this manufacturing back home to BC, or will you branch? Bring operations in other countries?
So are you talking about J. Allen?
And the mags, I forget the
Oh, the
Mamba.
Mamba Mag. No, the Mamba Mags is being manufactured in Canada.
Okay, great.
The J. Allen will be manufactured in the United States.
Okay.
And we will, our manufacturing in Canada is growing massively, but at the same time, we will also grow our manufacturing in the United States because the cross border isn't always easy, and there's also some items that are more restrictive in Canada than they are in the United States. So I think that in the future we'll always be manufacturing in 2 countries, but no more than that.
Right.
I guess is a large part of your business in the U.S. or
no, the majority is certainly in Canada. Well,
Okay.
the majority of what we sell is in the United States.
Okay.
But the majority of what we make is in Canada.
Okay.
And it will stay that way.
Yeah, I mean they have 10 times the market. I mean it's maybe even more.
Sure.
So
yeah,
for sure.
and well, we do sell in. I think just last year we would have shipped to probably around 60 different countries.
Wow.
So I mean, what we ship around the world, it does add up pretty significantly. As you mentioned earlier, Peter Milan in South Africa, we do ship a fair amount of stuff to South Africa. Europe is significant. Australia is pretty significant. But yeah, we want to have control of the manufacturing, and so yeah, we keep it close to us.
That's cool.
That's great.
One of the requests is full length internal external weights for the guys who just can't get enough.
So
I actually, Maarten was in the middle of talking, so I didn't. That was actually my question. Maybe not full length, but I don't know if there was ever talks about having something that's like 9 inches long, or because ultimately, especially for the Rimfire guys, almost all of us are running. Like John is running three in a row, so it was just a curiosity. Instead of buying a bunch of different weights, there's a lot more machining time in that and whatever, versus just having like a big rack of it.
Yeah, that's a good question. We haven't really talked about doing that. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't do it in the future. I believe that our XRS weight is one piece internal. But there's a certain amount of versatility to be able to have multiple weights, right? Because now it's not all about weight for a lot of people. It's also about balancing and putting pieces in different locations.
Exactly.
Myself personally, on both the Rimfire and the centerfire rifles that I run, I just put 2 weights at the very front of the rifle only because I like what it does to the balance. But when we hear these kinds of things, we generally always write them down. And review all these things. We have a pretty elaborate process of our product development, and we look at, hey, is this feasible? Does it make sense? Will we sell enough of them to make it worth the machining time? So it's possible.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think we've got a huge. I think there's several hundred Rimfire shooters to draw from, and you'll get no shortage of great ideas.
We need 50 MOA rails for all the common rifle models. It'd be nice to have that made in Canada over the other guys.
Boy.
Yeah, that is pretty high on the likelihood list.
Perfect.
50 awesome. MOA. That's more, maybe 30-40 would come before that. But
yeah. You'd be surprised. I mean, almost all of our rifles are running 45 and up, and that's why these guys have been doing really good with their adjustable rings, at least in our circle. So I think
you guys shooting 600 yards with those.
Well, I mean, like if you take, for example, a Diamondback, right, with the what does it have, 19 mils top to bottom, with a 50-yard zero, you. Almost every time I've used 45 roughly, and that would give me about 0.5 mil of travel below my zero, which is plenty to reach 25 yards, and it gives me essentially the entire range that the scope has to offer. So, and that's probably the most common package that we run. So for our circle in particular, I think between 40 and 50 is probably the sweet spot for most setup.
So Matt, how much are you running total, Matt?
So I was just going to add on to what Thomas said. A lot of guys too, especially the guys shooting open, if they're going to a fairly high-end scope with a 34 mil tube, you're easily getting 30 plus MRAD of internal adjustment. And so this one, I have a 50 MOA base on. I was running a 55 at one point. But I mean, people are trying to, especially for rimfire, you're trying to squeeze out as much internal elevation as is available in your scope. So if your scope has 32 MRAD of adjustment like this one, you almost want, 50 to 60 MOA, because you can still zero at 50 yards, but you can still dial it out. We're shooting 300-400 yards regularly. And then when we feel like being silly, we'll push out targets to, 1,000, 600 things.
That's all right. Come out, say it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, people do appreciate that, but you have to be careful, obviously, because if you have a more entry level scope that only has 20 MRAD of adjustment, you shouldn't stick it on a 50 MOA base, because you can't zero at, the 50, the standard 50 yards at that point. So the shooter also has to do a bit of research to see what they can get away with, right?
I think if you're looking at there's go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I almost want to change the conversation. I mean, I agree. 30, 50 MOA, I would just go with the 50, but I don't know if it really makes much of a difference. I'm curious, has MDT ever considered making an ELR style scope base or I don't know, some device that'll allow you to reach out really far? And this isn't necessarily only applicable to Rimfire, but you watch Mark and Sam after work. Those guys have so much traction these days. They're reaching out to 4-5 kilometers, or 4,000, 5,000 yards. And we're basically trying to do the same thing, but on a small scale. Have you guys ever considered making an ELR device that would be kind of friendly to the Canadian market? Because we basically can't buy anything from the States, so we suffer.
It's not like an index adjustable cant?
Yeah.
What you're looking for?
Exactly, like an index adjustable cant. So like, let's say you want to throw 150 MOA and then 100 MOA and then 150 or whatever. Have you guys ever thought of something like that?
Yeah, we have designs for it actually as well. It is it's somewhat a complicated contraption. I'm trying to. This is I think this was 2-3 years ago that we didn't develop it ourselves. It was somebody that came to us with a design. I actually think it's available somewhere on the internet, because I think he published it. And I'm trying very hard to remember who that was and what it was called. Basically, it was an adjustable scope base that you'd be able to do exactly as you were saying, set it to 50, set it to 100, and it was able to maintain a pretty serious amount of accuracy. Right. It would have been a very expensive device, and we would have probably sold tens of them.
Probably.
Which means that we would have to sell it for even more. So do we want to spend time on developing something that a very, very small amount of the population will buy, or do we do something that is a little bit more broad for a larger amount of population that is shooting? So we do recognize the need for it, but I don't know that we would ever make this work. However, I will, Kevin, I will probably reach out to you after this and give you a little bit more information on it, because I think this is probably better suited for a more custom gunsmith than it is for MDT.
Right. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, part of what we're doing also is that it really depends on where it is in the life cycle of that discipline. So Rimfire ELR is in infancy right now. So we're actually going to be launching an ELR series this year. Well, had COVID not stalled us, we have plans for 4 events this year, going out to 700 yards as the maximum, and then slowly keep building on that going forward. And eventually, as you're seeing all of the high-end custom actions now, we expect that drag. I mean, it's going to be still maybe 10% of the population, if that much. But it's certainly going to be
that's a very good point that you're making there, because we were basing it on what we knew 3 years ago. But people change, the disciplines change, and it's very possible that we might have to review this again soon.
Yeah, because now you're seeing for the top end shooters with 34 mil tubes or 35 mil tubes, 40 to 50 MOA is kind of the minimum that they shop for. Voodoo and Zermatt offer 40 MOA bases out of the factory. and now Area 419 is doing 50 MOA bases for the 457. So I think there's that evolutionary process that that's ongoing, and I don't even know where it's going next year. I don't know how it could evolve more, but manufacturers and shooters always surprise me with what they'll come up with to squeeze out that last few percentages.
Yeah. Well, things will keep evolving for sure. I remember our engineering manager, Brad. He said that about 3 years ago he was always worried that we were going to run out of things to develop, but that he was going to be out of a job. But he doesn't worry about that anymore.
No, I bet not. Rob Longers, he sees the trend for the competition, heavier ACC and lightweight versus heavyweight versus lightweight, LSS.
I see. Okay. LSS muzzle rise isn't a huge issue for Rimfire thoughts. So the ACC having a heavy system isn't the only benefit that the ACC gives you. There is, it has a longer forend. You can balance the rifle better. It's got a better barricade stop. You have a lot more it has a lot more adjustability in the buttstock. Now, of course, you can put that same buttstock on your LSS, but you'd have to put an adapter in between, unless it's the LSS XL. You have the integrated ARCA. So from a weight point of view, yes, the LSS it's actually a great chassis to put a rimfire into. But if you want to shoot a competition, the PRS style, the ACC just gives you a lot more versatility, a lot more features that you're going to miss with the LSS.
Yeah, it's built for that sport.
Yeah.
And then Dave Tree, again, Ryan McLean joining the team is bringing back tons of what he's seen from Audi. So not that there's an east-west difference, but the challenges we have might not be the same as the Western shooters. So I think Ryan coming on board is going to bring a ton of information and certainly the needs that we're seeing on a daily basis back to you guys. So that's awesome. So it's a win-win situation for everyone, I think. Well, no, we lose because we lost Ryan. But as a shooting community, we gain through his input into the MDT development process. So
I am curious what the stats would be of center fire to rimfire shooters in I'm just going to say Ontario, Quebec, because they're the main population adders here, and then Alberta and BC. I'm curious what it would be. If you just pull those two.
It's going to be huge. The West. They've got the land, like you said, Kevin. So here for us, it's military bases. So Valcartier, Farnham, access to the Ontario bases to shoot past 300 meters, and then farming communities where neighbors won't complain about center fires being fired. It's possible, but it's less likely. Like certainly around Montreal, there's not a lot. So
I bet you we can run some reports on center fire chassis and rimfire chassis purchases between the sides. It'd be interesting data.
Yeah, but the REM 700 platform kind of changes things now.
That's right. Yeah,
because everyone in Ontario has a REM 700 rimfire now.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah. If I compare what I saw this year versus 2 years ago, it's 2 years ago you saw maybe a handful. This year it's dozens.
Yeah, and people used to laugh at us for having an ACC for a rimfire, and they don't anymore.
Nope. No.
Well, there's still people laugh at you, but we laugh at them too, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we always say this, 5 years ago, shooting a rimfire to 100 yards was like a big deal, right? For us, that's just sighting in now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome, and it's been great to watch the partnership between the manufacturing community like MDT and the shooters. We just keep going in lockstep with. We're not wanting for anything. We're spoiled for choice now. If you have a REM 700 pattern, you have a choice of the Oryx, the XRS, or the ACC, or any of the other platforms. It's really up to you to choose what your shooting style is and what competitive profile you want to bring into the match, which is great. So I don't know if you guys had any other questions for Maarten on. Was there things you wanted to call out, Maarten, in terms of what you guys are doing or products that you think are our folks should be aware of that?
On the Rimfire side, I mean, you already mentioned it earlier. We recently released the chassis for the T1X.
Yes.
That is always a popular request. We're going to continue looking at other Rimfire platforms. We do have a link on our website where people can submit what they want a chassis for. And we do look at that data on a regular basis so that we don't go making something that nobody wants. If somebody is like, hey, I wish you had this for this rifle or that rifle, let us know by using that link. And we'll seriously look at it.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you offline. I'll get that link, Maarten, because we've got a few thousand people on our mailing list, and a few thousand people in our group. I think we can crowdsource that and give you some data based on the competitors that shoot the matches, as opposed to guys that just have wishes but don't really use it in competition. So both of that
sounds great.
It's another data point.
Yeah. Aside from that, I mean, we're going to continue making stuff that are going to improve shooting position styles. There's a number of stuff that as always, that we're working on. Dope part holder, that is going to help. And
we received one of your one piece mounts. That thing is a pretty beefy mount. I was impressed by how substantive it was. It's a pretty solid one piece.
Yeah, it's very beefy. We did a lot of testing with that, going as far as hitting it with a hammer between every shot and seeing if there was a POI shift. And that thing doesn't move.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty impressive.
That's almost as bad as my tests.
Almost, eh?
I've cracked a couple scope bases. It's actually pretty. I've been looking at. I'm running your premier rings right now, and Matt, I know, is running the elite rings. And I think the only reason why I would ever change the premier rings would be to go with one of those one-piece bases, because they are absolutely beautiful.
Well, the elite rings use the same tops. It has the same surface area for the clamping on the tube. But I just went with the elites because instead of the one piece, because I can kind of finagle the position a little bit better. But I like the replaceable tops with the attachment points on them. I got that for my red dot. I think those are really cool. And they're so beefy. I was also going to say, I really like the design of the ring tops where it has the step design. So you don't have to do like the star pattern. You just tighten the left side, adjust your scope, and then the right side. I think it's so much easier for installation. So I think that was a really good design in the MDT rings as well.
Yeah.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Is that specific to the elites?
Nope. The Premier should have a stepped thing as well.
Correct.
So you tighten down the left side first, then you adjust your scope, and then you tighten down the right side. So if you do it in star pattern, you're doing it wrong.
Oh man, I had no idea.
Habits die hard.
I'm doing it wrong. Okay. Very cool.
You're doing it differently, Kevin. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Read the instructions.
Sorry.
There we go.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more questions for Maarten. I mean, I think he's.
I got a question. I don't know if you're allowed, again, like leaking secrets, but would you guys ever dive more into soft goods? So like maybe shooting bags or a shooting mat or rifle cases, things like that? Or are you more on the like actually on your rifle type products?
Hardware.
Yeah, hardware.
I wouldn't give it a hard no. But one thing that I will say is we will only get into something if we think that we can do something better than somebody else. Mm-hmm. So right now, we don't have any people on staff that are that can do that and have those ideas. There is some soft good accessories that we have been looking at. And that sounds pretty cryptic right there, but that's where I gotta and that information. But at the end of the day, we're not a company that is going to make something just for the sake of making it, just because you can sell some. We want to make stuff that makes it awesome. That makes it. We use a word inside of MDT. We ask ourselves this when we make new products: And this doesn't only count for products, but also how we do things and how we treat our employees and everything. I mean, it's called legendary. So we ask ourselves, like, can we be a legendary company with having these products? Will it help our shooter? Will we be excited about selling it and putting it for sale? And if the answer is no, then we don't want to do it. So yeah, if we have somebody on our staff that says we want to get into soft goods, and look, I have this and this and this idea, and I have this expertise, and this, yeah, we would look at it. But right now we got plenty to do. So this would be something probably out in the further future if that was ever a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I mean, as I watch the announcements being made on a weekly, monthly basis, it's pretty staggering the amount of the new stuff that comes out that I think say, yeah, that's a great idea, as opposed to one of those Me Too plays where here's our version of what you always see in the market. So it's kudos to you and your team for sticking to that course of action, which is delivering quality products that add to the brand, not just a Me Too play, which is awesome.
Yeah, so, thank you.
I mean, I sound like an MDT fanboy, but I mean, the ACC is just it's a tool. It's a hammer. When you need a hammer, that's the one you use, and it just works. With a bipod or without a bipod, with a bag, without a bag, it just works. It's a machine. So it's solid. So I'm looking forward to running the XRS this year with a 457 and seeing how that experience, especially with that. It's got that full Arca rail now on it with the full covered front end, which I'm looking forward to trying out this year with the SkyPod. So,
yeah, that'll be a great setup for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So,
I'm gonna ask a similar question as Matt just posed here, but instead of soft goods, are you guys dabbling at all in electronics? So, dope management systems or
ballistic calculators.
Like a HUD, like an active HUD. Is that something that MDT is playing with at all?
Yeah, it'd be the same answer. I mean, we would only want to get into that if we knew we could do something that doesn't already exist. I got one of the Kestrel HUDs recently. It's a pretty cool device, but I've never used it because I like to draw little pictures of where a target is and stuff, and my pen just does so much more than the fancy electronics. We were able to come up with something. We had the expertise to do something legendary. We would look at it, but we're not there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's an interesting thought, though. I am involved in a company that does electronics, so we do have. Although it's it's control panels mostly, so a lot of program, but the capabilities are there, but that company is not in the firearms market. It's not on our mind at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Maarten, I just need something that gets me an extra 10 points per match. If you can figure out, what I'm doing wrong. Is if I'm canting or I'm not.
Rick, just practice your mag changes.
Yeah. Well, electronics aren't going to get you there, but more trigger time will.
I guess. I don't have time. I'm always busy running these silly matches. I need to be a shooter instead of a match director. That's what I need. I got into this sport because I love it. I wanted to. If you want to shoot more, don't do this, kids. This is not the way to shoot more. You end up shooting less.
Well, it's just shooting at 600 yards. What we can do is develop a little hammer behind the target, and when you shoot, we can push the button and it can go ting.
That would be awesome. We'll call it the Rickster. That'd be awesome. That's what I need. All right, we'll crowdsource that one and we'll figure out how to make that happen. That's awesome. Any other questions, guys?
No, thank you.
No,
thank you
awesome,
so much.
Maarten, I know it's getting into eating into your dinner time. So I want to thank you for that time. I want to thank you for the support from year one. MDT has been behind us, from the infancy of the series. So I want to thank you for that. It's always a pleasure seeing you when I'm in town and seeing all of your products and seeing the product evolution on what now looks like to be a monthly basis. So we look forward to seeing all of the products coming down the road as well. And certainly the Rimfire Nation podcast crew is stoked to be using MDT products. And that just works, like I said. So thank you for that, guys. I don't know if you have any other words to add to that.
Well, just generally, go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead, Tom. Yeah, all you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for representing Canada on the global scene. I know some people as far as China who know exactly what MDT is, which is pretty amazing because they don't have much of a domestic firearm scene. But they see your products on YouTube and everything. So that's really amazing. And also being part of I'm somewhat new to the firearm scene, and to have found out that you can essentially build an entire rifle out of Canadian products was a revelation and something that I think we should be proud of. So to you and the IBIs and the Tangent Theta, if we can ever afford one of their products, kudos. Very well done.
It's a question of priorities, Thomas. Question of priorities.
Yeah. Two kids,
thank
right?
you for that. I appreciate it.
Kevin, were you saying something?
No, I was just going to say thanks for coming on. I mean, if you're in the middle of a client dinner, the fact that you're making some time for us is very much appreciated, and I'm sure we'll hear from you in the future. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Maarten. Safe travels, and I'll try and catch up with you at Chilliwack when I get out west.
Sounds good.
From
Thanks a lot, guys.
Rimfire Nation podcast. Thanks to you for joining us. Thanks to Tesro.ca for their continued support of the podcast. Visit Tesro.ca for the latest products for your shooting passion, and visit RimfirePrecision.ca for news about the Canadian Rimfire Precision Series. Take it easy.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Maarten.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.